Hi, I'm Molly. I am a trainer and assessor with H&H Accredited Training. I teach business, community services, leadership and management, and I also assist our early childhood team. Today we're going to look at my journey from high school to now and the pathways that I took to get here. So as a pretty average student in school, I got mostly B's and C's. In year 11, I was working towards an ATAR. However, by year 12, I decided really that wasn't for me. I wanted to prioritize my mental health, but also I had decided early on that I wasn't going to go straight into university. I wanted to go straight into the early childhood workforce. So coming to the end of high school, I did my HSC, I didn't get an ATAR. I got first place in a couple of the subjects that I was doing, which I'm very proud of. And then I came into my traineeship. I had an organisation come out to our high school and present the idea of traineeships to us. They explored what traineeships were available to them at their companies, such as community services, business and childcare. After high school, I went through the application process and the interviewing process with them and was actually successful in getting that role. So I started my childcare career in January after high school. Now, the first couple of days getting into childcare, first couple of months really, I was exposed to people in the industry that perhaps, in hindsight looking at it now, weren't really passionate about the industry, and they were there to sort of like supervise children. So getting off in starting off there, it wasn't great. And I was a little bit lost and very, very shy. But then I was introduced to someone about 5 months into my traineeship who was just a little bit older than me. We really connected, but she was so passionate about the industry. She loved what she did. She planned for children. She really wanted to engage with them and help them exceed to whatever they were trying to achieve. So that was life-changing for me as a little trainee. She definitely took me under her wing, and that was fantastic. But come towards the end of my traineeship, 12 months later, I had decided that childcare just wasn't challenging enough for me, and I suppose it was great that I realised that at that level as a certificate 3 as opposed to going into uni. But yeah, so being exposed to the industry, I just decided it really wasn't challenging enough for me at that time. So after childcare, I moved into a certificate 3 in business with TAFE. At the conclusion of that, about 6 months later, I ended up getting a full-time role in data entry and customer service with a door hardware company. It was an interesting turn of events, very different to where I expected to be. I had a fantastic manager there. She was always inspiring me to, try new things. Great management skills, great emotional intelligence skills, and really pushed me outside of my comfort zone to try new things, which was fantastic. Sometimes, she'd get me on the phone and I'd be answering product inquiries, which I really wasn't familiar with at the data entry level. But yeah, challenged me, and that was good, and I've learned so much from that about myself since. I was with that company for about 3 years. During that time, I moved from data entry to customer service. I did pretty much like a personal assistant role to my manager at the time. I was assisting her with organizing charity events, documenting meetings that they had, and yeah, pretty much anything that she needed me to do at the time, I was there to assist. So 3 years later, that company was moving interstate. I had realized, before that it wasn't an opportunity, or there wasn't an opportunity there for me to grow. It was going to be if I was going to move up from customer service, it was going to be in a customer service management role. And, there was no point moving interstate for that. I could get a role here very similar for the same amount of money, and it'd be 20 minutes to work. So yeah, I decided to leave that company. I had another job lined up at the time, but I am very thankful for my experience there and very thankful for my manager. So after I left the door hardware company, I moved into the plant equipment industry. Learned a lot in that role. I was working mostly in customer service, and I was scheduling our road technicians at the time for them to go and service machinery. I learned a lot about the machinery that we have. I learned a lot about the products that we needed for that. I learned accounting skills from there as well. I was doing a lot of the invoicing at the time. I was sort of at that point experiencing, you know, polar opposites of what I had before in terms of industry, in terms of management, and in terms of the work that I was actually doing. I learned, a lot from that role. I learned a lot of communication skills, time management, emotional intelligence as well. That was pretty key point at that point. But I ended up losing my job there due to COVID. They weren't generating enough income to keep their staff, which was sad at the time, but it led to future opportunities. So after a couple of weeks of unemployment, I ended up getting a role with H&H, accredited trainee, as a traineeship coordinator. That was an interesting role. I was supporting our traineeship team in the life cycle of a trainee, so everything from start to end, the enrollment to actually receiving their certificate and everything in between. I supported our students, I supported our staff, and most importantly, I supported our trainers and assessors. During that time, we were in lockdown, so we were working from home a bit, but I actually realized there was a need for someone in administration to move into a trainer and assessor role, or particularly to have the certificate for in training and assessment, so that we could speed up our admin processes, such as signing documents. So twice a week of night time, I did my certificate for in training and assessment. During that time, I fell in love with training. I had previously, worked in roles where I had fantastic managers, but I'd also done a lot of volunteer work, such as coaching with netball. So I was really reliving those experiences and figuring out that I had an opportunity here to support students in many different ways and to coach, people at an entry level to become leaders within their workplace. I was very lucky at the end of my certificate 4, after doing my course for 12 months, I was offered a role with H&H to become a trainer and assessor. I still assist our admin team occasionally and do sign documents for them as I originally intended with the qualifications I was studying. But I fell in love with training. I now teach the business courses, community services, leadership and management, and I also support our early childhood team based on my experiences. I very much love my role, and I get to encompass everything that I've learned from high school and childcare to now. Whoever thought that childcare would come back and help me one day, but I learned patience, I learned good management skills, time management, empathy, and nurturing as well, which you need as a trainer and assessor. And everything from my business background as well supports me in my role today as a trainer and assessor. So I suppose the point of this video today is to sort of explore that there are other options available for you. You don't have to go from high school to university and then straight into the workforce. There are other options. Research them, find out what is available to you, and then do a bit of trial and error, because eventually you're going to come around full circle. You're going to use those skills that you've got in your first job eventually in your future jobs. And it's okay not to like what you're doing. It's okay to realize that that's not for me, and to move on, as long as you are constantly exploring and making the right decisions for you and not letting other people influence you based on your friendship. So just find out what works for you, trial and error, and enjoy what you do, I suppose.